I found out I was listed on a almost $500,000 mortgage without ever signing. My parents had used my info to get my sister her dream home. I stayed silent and just locked the loan. 2 days later, their realtor called me desperately. There are three things I never imagined would wreck my week: a snippy group text, a pink sheet cake covered in frosting, and a letter from a bank I had no memory of ever dealing with. Let me rewind a little. I wasn't always the one who faded into the background. Technically, I'm the oldest by 2 years, but in my family, birth order meant nothing. The hierarchy was simple. My sister, Jenna, the golden child, the family's treasure, the social media darling who once made waves for posting a sponsored makeup tutorial with the caption, "Use code DaddyPaid." My parents, her biggest fans, constant handlers of her fragile self-esteem and even shakier finances. Then there was me, the guy who does computers or something. At least, that's how Aunt Carol put it. Supposedly, it hadn't always been like this. I used to think maybe I just needed to push harder, shine brighter, make myself impossible to ignore. So I racked up straight A's in high school, worked weekends at the hardware store, and fixed our Wi-Fi so often the router practically had my fingerprints stamped into it. Still, none of it mattered. Meanwhile, Jenna got a standing ovation at dinner once for painting a rock. A plain old rock. My mom gushed that it radiated potential. By the time I turned 19, I had enough. There wasn't some big showdown, no dramatic farewell. I quietly packed my stuff, mumbled my way through a cheap chain restaurant dinner, and moved into a Craigslist room with a busted door that wouldn't close properly. My folks said they couldn't offer financial help. Something about Jenna's brand development eating up all their support. My first job was cleaning spyware off a guy's PC after he clicked a pop-up promising him a free llama. That was my welcome to adulthood. Over the next few years, I hustled, freelance gigs, certifications, slowly piecing together a small client base. I graduated from spam-flavored ramen to the kind with actual seasoning packets. I didn't have much, but what I did have, I earned. Jenna, on the other hand, was busy scaling her empire. She went from posting dorm room TikToks to pastel-colored, get-ready-with-me videos in front of ring lights bigger than her head. She started showing up to family dinners in business casual, like typing replies to Instagram comments was a boardroom job. I told myself I wasn't bitter. Maybe a little. Okay, fine, a lot. But it was the quiet kind of bitterness, the kind you chew on while eating leftovers alone, scrolling past your family's dinner selfies captioned, "So proud of our girl." #BossBabe. The last time I heard from them before everything unraveled was when Jenna hit 500,000 followers. She threw a party. I wasn't invited, but my mom accidentally dropped a group chat selfie. There they were, grinning around a pink cake iced with the words, "To our real star." I just sent a thumbs up back and returned to rebooting a failing NAS for a client who thought cloud storage meant leaving his laptop on the windowsill. Then the letter showed up. It slid in between junk mail and a coupon for teeth whitening I never asked for. The envelope looked like one of those credit card scams, but I tore it open anyway. And there it was, my name, my full legal name, printed bold above a number that scrambled my brain at first: $470,000. Beneath it, a property address I'd never seen, along with a cheerful line thanking me for trusting us with your mortgage experience. I sat frozen, reread it, checked the back for a "just kidding" punchline. Nothing. I flipped the envelope over, checked the postmark, the return address, even the spelling. All of it was real. A $470,000 mortgage. In my name. For a house I had never set foot in. The kind of house I couldn't dream of affording when I was 19 and sleeping on a secondhand futon. I laughed, actually laughed out loud, alone in my apartment, because the only thing more absurd than that letter was the fact that, deep down, I already knew where this was going. The next morning, I hoped it had all been a bad dream. You know the type, where you show up to school naked or accidentally marry a coworker because you clicked the wrong Zoom link. But no, the envelope was still sitting on my counter, humming like a live grenade. And that number, $470,000, still made my gut twist like I'd swallowed a brick of unpaid taxes. I did the only thing that made sense. I Googled the property address. What popped up was a sleek 2-story in a gated community with professional landscaping and security guards. The kind of neighborhood where the HOA fines you for a mailbox tilting 2 degrees. I scrolled through listing photos like I was peeking at a stranger's vacation album. Open concept kitchen, white marble counters, a walk-in closet bigger than my first apartment, all captioned, perfect for a growing family or rising influencers seeking the spotlight. That line hit like a glitter-coated slap. Because if I knew anything, it was that Jenna had dreamed of exactly this. She used to post mood boards with captions like, manifesting my future content cave. I always figured she was kidding. Guess not. Strangely enough, I wasn't even angry yet. Mostly numb. A little confused. Maybe even impressed. Pulling off a stunt like this took effort, commitment, parental help, and access to documents you don't just stumble across. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I texted my mom. Hey, weird question. Did someone use my info to buy a house? 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then an hour. Nothing. So I called. Straight to voicemail. Then I tried Dad. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, kiddo, he said, like everything was perfectly normal. Everything okay? For a second, I almost believed him. Yeah, I said. Just got a mortgage confirmation in the mail. Silence. The kind that makes you wonder if the call dropped. Then finally, that's probably some mix-up. You sure it's not junk? Pretty sure, I said. It has my name, my social, a full loan number. And the address is that gated neighborhood by Hillside. Another beat of silence. Then Dad said, Look, we can talk about this later, all right? Your mom's busy putting something together for Jenna's new milestone. New milestone? I asked. Yeah, she hit 600,000 followers this morning. You should have seen the surprise we set up. The balloons were massive. I just stared at the phone like it had personally insulted me. Then, almost as an afterthought, he added, Don't stress. It's probably a mix-up. Banks do that sometimes. Banks do that sometimes. Like what? Randomly slap people's names on $500,000 loans. I hung up. Calmly. Politely. Without chucking my phone across the room. Which honestly felt like character development. After that, I did what any bitter older brother with a half-decent conscience and lousy coping skills would do. I drove over. Just to look at it. To see the house tied to my name before I did anything reckless. It was worse in person. A bubblegum pink Jeep sat in the driveway with a license plate that read Haby. I parked half a block down, killed the engine, and sat there like some wannabe detective. And then she came out. Jenna, wearing a crop top that said C.E.O. of me, holding an iced coffee the size of a toddler, pausing to pose while some guy fiddled with her angles. Probably the new boyfriend. He looked like he exfoliated hourly. I didn't even know what to feel. Shock, betrayal, or maybe just an odd craving for caffeine mixed with vengeance. Then Jenna laughed, one of those high-pitched, carefree giggles, and shouted, Babe, make sure the light hits the porch. And there I was, sitting in my beat-up car on a street outside a house I apparently owned, watching my sister choreograph her influencer life on property that carried my name. I didn't storm up, didn't scream. I just drove away, because the betrayal hadn't fully hit yet. But it would. Sleep was impossible that night. I tried. I made tea. I distracted myself with dumb videos of raccoons digging through trash. I even opened the Notes app and typed out a to-do list titled, Don't Lose Your Entire Mind Today. But by 2:43 a.m., I was back at it. Envelope open. Staring again at the words, mortgage loan amount, $470,000. Primary borrower, Logan M. Carter. My name, in bold. Middle initial included. The longer I looked, the less real it seemed. I hadn't signed anything. Hadn't even applied for a loan in my life. Yet there it was. By dawn, I had flipped into full FBI mode. Pulled up my credit report, brewed enough coffee for a battalion, and there it sat. A hard credit inquiry. From a mortgage lender. Dated 2 months ago. The exact week Jenna had posted her big, I found the one manifestation video. What crushed me most wasn't just the proof. It was knowing exactly how they'd pulled it off. Back when I was a broke kid couch hopping off Craigslist, my parents opened a family trust account. It was supposed to be for emergencies and college expenses. They told me I had to sign paperwork so they could manage it. Spoiler, I never saw a dime. But the paperwork? That still existed. And apparently, it was good enough to make things look official, at least to a mortgage officer named Chad, who thought due diligence was a yoga pose. I wasn't furious yet. I was humiliated, because I could see it all playing out. Jenna spinning in her chair, pointing at marble countertops, saying, This one, Daddy. My mom nodding. My dad sighing. And someone muttering, "Don't worry, we'll put it under his name. He'll never notice. Just a signature. Just a line. Just mine." I stared at my credit report a long time. Then I looked up the lender. Not the one that mailed me the confirmation, the one that actually approved the loan. It took 20 minutes, 3 transfers, and one relentlessly perky receptionist named Lacey before I got a guy named Brad. Yes, actual Brad. He had the customer service voice of someone who owned a Hawaiian shirt that said, "It's 5 o'clock somewhere." "Hi there. Thanks for calling. How can I help you today?" "Yeah," I said. "I got a mortgage confirmation letter, except I never applied for a mortgage. I need to know what's going on." "Sure thing. Let me pull your file. Full name and last 4 of your social?" I gave it. He hummed. "Oh, right. That property on Hillside Drive? That's the one. Looks like the documents came through a family trust account. You're listed as primary borrower, but it's co-managed by 2 secondary contacts." My stomach dropped. Who are the secondaries? A pause. A click. "Looks like Carl and Deborah. Same last name as you. Parents, I assume?" I didn't answer. Because what was there to say? "Oh, great. Thanks. My parents casually bought a house using my identity and social security number. Just a classic family joke." Brad carried on like we were discussing cable upgrades. "Anyway, everything checks out on our end. But if you're saying it's misuse, you'll need to freeze your credit and file a report." And that was it. The cliff edge between maybe this is a mistake and nope, this is legal betrayal. I could have called them then. Could have blown up the group chat. Could have pulled a Jenna and made a snarky reel captioned, "POV, your family commits mortgage fraud." But I didn't. Instead, I opened a new browser tab, logged into the credit reporting site, and hovered over the button that said freeze my credit. I didn't press it right away. I just stared at it, like you stare at a fire alarm before pulling it. The next morning, I clicked. Freeze my credit. Just a single click. But hitting that button felt like detonating a silent bomb in the middle of a carefully curated influencer showroom. I half expected alarms to scream and red lights to flash, but all I got was a polite green check mark and a tidy little summary telling me, "Congratulations, you've locked your financial identity. Have a great day." And just like that, the house of cards my family stacked on my name stopped breathing. I didn't know what would come next. Maybe nothing for a while. Maybe weeks would pass before anyone caught on. Maybe Jenna would be too busy filming her morning grind videos to notice the gears grinding to a halt. Turns out, it only took a day and a half. 36 hours in, I started getting missed calls. First from an unknown number, then another, then 3 voicemails in quick succession. They were all from a woman named Tracy, who sounded like someone whose week had just been wrecked by a frozen credit report. "Hi, this is Tracy Mendez with Brightness Realty. We're finalizing the close on Hillside Drive and just ran into a complication. Please call me back right away. It's urgent." I didn't call back. Not right away. Instead, I made pancakes. It was Saturday, and for the first time in years I felt like I was steering something. The batter was lumpy, the syrup was off-brand, but it tasted like justice on a plate. By voicemail 4, Tracy sounded less chipper, more like she was trying to cover a meltdown with buzzwords. "Hi again, Logan. So, we're seeing flags on the financial side. Possibly a frozen credit line? We're hoping it's a technical glitch, but our financing partner's a little concerned." A little concerned. That made 2 of us. I checked Jenna's socials. Not to snoop, but for research. And there it was. A reel titled Empty House Tour, Manifestation Magic, where she skipped barefoot across the foyer like she had just inherited royalty. I watched it twice, once to process the audacity, twice to listen to the echoes. That house was still empty, still unfinished. They were celebrating too soon. Way too soon. The comments were flooded with love and hearts. "You deserve this, Queen. OMG, that staircase. Where's the couch from?" One person asked if it was officially hers, and Jenna replied, "Paperwork's basically done, just waiting on boring signatures, haha." Yeah, those boring signatures. Like mine. By Sunday, Tracy's cheerful mask had crumbled into flat-out panic. Her 5th voicemail didn't even bother with a greeting. "We need clarification on this freeze. If this isn't resolved by Monday, we're looking at breach of contract. This affects multiple parties. Please respond immediately." I could practically hear the spreadsheets combusting behind her. Then, finally, a different caller. My mom. Her name flashed across the screen while I was folding socks, and I stood there staring, debating. I didn't answer. She left a message, too. "Hey honey, There's something odd with Jenna's closing papers. It's probably nothing. But could you give us a quick call? No big deal. No big deal. Sure. Just a stolen identity tied to a six-figure property and betrayal thick enough to chew on. I saved that voicemail. Not out of spite. Out of principle. By the end of the night, I had 10 missed calls. 5 from Tracy. 2 from Mom. 1 from Dad. None from Jenna. But I knew hers was coming. Not one apology in the bunch. Not a single, we shouldn't have done this. Not even a careless, sorry, Logan. Just stress, panic, and the creaking sound of their flawless plan snapping apart. So I did what I always do when the world gets messy. I flipped another pancake. Monday morning arrived like a truck plowing through all those unanswered calls. At 9:01 sharp, my phone lit up like it owed someone money. Unknown numbers. Dad twice. Tracy again, her voice tight with urgency. And finally, Jenna. I let them all slide to voicemail. Why? Because if I answered, I might say something like, "Thanks for the financial fraud. What's new with you?" Instead, I brewed the good coffee, sat at my little thrifted table, and hit play. Voicemail 1. Tracy. Logan, we're at risk of defaulting the financing package if this freeze isn't lifted. We need verbal confirmation today or the deal collapses. Please call immediately. Voicemail 2. Dad. Son, I think we should all sit down and talk this through. No need for drama. You're blowing it out of proportion. Voicemail 3. Jenna. Hey, can you, unfreeze whatever you froze? I've got a walkthrough tomorrow with a brand, and they're expecting an interior shoot, so yeah, I had to pause there. A brand walkthrough. In a house she didn't legally own. And she said it like I'd forgotten to take the chicken out of the freezer. Voicemail 4. Mom. Logan, sweetheart, your sister's worked so hard for this. Don't ruin her chance over something so technical. It's just paperwork. Just paperwork. That phrase again. Like they'd practiced it. Like my name, my credit, my signature were nothing more than a bureaucratic hiccup. I stood up and paced. Because no matter how cool I tried to play it, something inside was breaking. It wasn't just the mortgage. It was the whole pattern. The constant assumption that I was the scaffolding to Jenna's chandelier life. That I'd stay invisible, absorb the fallout, and keep quiet. But I wasn't 19 anymore. I wasn't sleeping under a towel on a Craigslist couch. I was Logan M. Carter, and they were about to learn what that meant. Not through shouting, not with fists, but with deliberate, cutting silence. I logged into the mortgage portal again, not to undo the freeze, but to download every single document they had submitted. Every fabricated detail, every forged line that claimed I was aware and consenting. I tucked them neatly into a new folder on my desktop, titled simply, "For my lawyer, just in case." And as I did, my phone lit up again. This time, I answered. It was my dad. "Logan," he said, sounding weary before the conversation even began. "Look, this has gotten out of hand. Can we just talk like adults?" "I'm listening," I said, steadying my voice with a sip of coffee. "We didn't think it would cause issues," he continued. "We figured you'd be supportive. You always said you didn't want a big house anyway." "I didn't know I bought one," I replied flatly. "It's not like that. Jenna just needed a little help. You're responsible. You're not even using your credit like that. We figured. You figured I wouldn't notice?" Silence. Then, "It's family, Logan. Sometimes we do things for each other." "No," I said, calm as stone. "You do things to me, and then you dress it up and call it family." "Don't be cruel," he whispered. "I'm not being cruel," I said. "I'm being clear." Then I ended the call. No drama. Just a click. Because sometimes, clarity is the sharpest revenge. By Tuesday morning, Tracy no longer sounded like a realtor. She sounded like someone who had aged 6 years in 6 hours. Her sixth voicemail hit my inbox at 7:13 a.m., stripped of her usual upbeat tone. "Logan, we're now in serious breach territory. The sellers have backup offers, and the loan is frozen at multiple checkpoints. If this isn't resolved today, the contract terminates. Please, talk to your family." That last line wasn't business. It was personal. She knew. Maybe not the forged signatures or the trust account tricks, but she smelled the rot and wanted no part of it. Then the group text arrived. Not from my parents, from Jenna. "What did you do? Everything's falling apart. I had a designer booked. Now they're saying the house is being relisted?" I didn't respond. I didn't need to. 10 minutes later, Mom called. Gone was the syrupy voice. Now she was in crisis mode. "Logan, This is getting ridiculous. You've made your point. Jenna's devastated. Do you really want to ruin your sister's future over a misunderstanding? Misunderstanding. That was the word now. I set the phone to speaker while drafting an email to a lawyer I'd met during a freelance gig 2 years earlier. Subject line: hypothetical. Family uses your info to buy a house. Mom droned on. We trusted you. And now you're making a scene. I stopped typing. Mom, I said evenly. You didn't trust me. You used me. There's a difference. She sighed, exasperated. You're overreacting. It was just paperwork. You weren't even using your credit. What's the harm? I breathed deep. The harm, I said slowly, is that my name is tied to a $470,000 loan. The harm is that if anything goes wrong, I'm the one the bank comes after. Not Jenna. Not you. Me. That's not fair. No, it's not, I said. But it's the truth. And I ended the call, sharp and clean, like cutting out something malignant. Hours passed in silence. No updates from Tracy. No tantrums from Jenna. No let's talk messages from Dad. Until 4 p.m., when the email landed. From Tracy: Logan, due to unresolvable financial discrepancies, the home contract has been canceled. The property will be relisted immediately. Please inform your family. Thank you. No caps. No exclamation marks. Just the curt tone of someone who wanted this nightmare off her desk. 10 minutes later, Jenna called. I didn't pick up. Her voicemail came shrieking through the speaker, so loud I had to pull the phone away. I hope you're happy. I lost the house. I lost my brand deal. I have a meeting tomorrow, and now I'm a joke because of you. You're so selfish. All you had to do was sign. Click. That was all I needed. Then Dad texted. You've made your point. Are you proud of yourself? I stared at the message for a long moment. Thought about drafting a long response, laying everything out in black and white. Instead, I typed one line. Let me know when you're ready to talk to my lawyer. I watched the read receipt appear, then vanish. No reply. Just silence. Heavy, beautiful silence. I was folding laundry when the knock came. 3 sharp raps on the door. No call, no text. Just them. I checked the peephole. Mom, Dad, Jenna. The full cast of this farce assembled on my doorstep like some suburban intervention minus the accountability. I cracked the door open a sliver, just enough to keep them off balance. Mom spoke first, her voice layered in that brittle politeness she saved for public crises. Can we come in? Are you here to apologize? I asked. Or just to blame me with better lighting? She blinked, startled. Dad studied the floor. Jenna rolled her eyes like I'd just inconvenienced her schedule. Oversized sunglasses hid half her face, and her hoodie screamed of sponsorships from her fake house tour. We just want to talk, Mom said. I stepped outside, pulled the door shut behind me, crossed my arms, and waited. Jenna shot me the look, the one she'd mastered since middle school. The look that said, you're ruining everything again. You always twist everything, she muttered. And there it was. Like a script. Not, we're sorry. Not, we messed up. Just, you twist everything. I met her eyes. I didn't twist anything, I said, steady as stone. You forged my signature. You used my credit to buy a house. That's not twisting. That's a felony. I'm just calling it what it is. Dad finally spoke. You don't have to make this ugly. Oh, you already did, I said. You just hoped I'd keep the lights off. Mom crossed her arms. Logan, sweetheart, no. I cut her off. Don't call me that. Don't get to be sweetheart while you stake my financial future on marble stairs and mood lighting. Jenna scoffed. I lost my deal, you know. My whole content calendar's wrecked. I had brands lined up. You embarrass me. That nearly made me laugh. You mean the brands who thought you actually owned the house? I said. That one. Jenna snapped. You're such a jerk. No, I said. I'm just finally saying things out loud. The silence that followed was thick enough to chew. Then I pulled out the envelope, plain manila, quiet, unimpressive, and handed it to Mom. What's this? She asked. Evidence, I said. So nobody forgets how far this went. She opened it. Inside was everything. My frozen credit report, the complete mortgage file with my name bolded at the top, the cosigner listing, Carl and Deborah Carter, and a 1-page legal note that read, this would qualify as identity misuse and potential fraud under state law. Dad skimmed it, his jaw tightened. Jenna didn't even look. She just blurted, so now you're threatening us with lawyers? I'm not threatening, I replied. I'm clarifying. Mom's voice went small. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought. You thought I'd roll over, I interrupted. Like always. Like when I crashed on a friend's couch for 6 months, and you told people I was traveling to find myself. Like when Jenna's first boutique flopped, and you used my old savings account to cover it. I breathed, not from anger, but to anchor myself, to remember what this felt like, standing outside my own door, no longer asking for a seat at their table. I hadn't said anything then. I had kept quiet like they expected. Not this time. Dad tried one last line. You're tearing this family apart. No, I said, my voice flat. You did that the moment you chose convenience over consent. No one spoke after that, so I walked back to my door. Logan, Mom called softly. I turned. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. Reduced, like the weight of what they'd done was finally settling on her shoulders, one missed call at a time. You really won't help her? She asked. I already did, I said. You just didn't ask. Then I shut the door. Not slammed, just shut, gentle and final, to give myself the peace I hadn't earned before. It was gloriously, painfully quiet. I heard them linger on the stoop, then footsteps moving away. The next morning felt light, not victorious, not celebratory, just quiet. I didn't blast music or parade anything. I made real eggs, not the powdered kind I used to eat from a cup with a plastic fork when I was broke, and I breathed. Not some dramatic healing arc, just air in, air out. For once it didn't feel like my peace depended on someone else deciding I deserved it. Around 11, I checked my email. Subject, final attempt. From Jenna. Logan, I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed. But this house was going to change everything for me. I had press lined up, a segment on a local influencer spotlight. This was my big break. You've always been the strong one. Can't you just let this go? Please. For me. For the family. For Mom and Dad. You know you're the only one who ever makes things happen. That last line turned my stomach because it was true. I had always been the one who made things happen. Rent, credit scores, groceries when Dad came up short, covering Mom's overdraft fees, quietly picking Jenna up when her car got towed because she parked for aesthetic. And not once did any of them say thank you. They assumed. So this time, I made something happen for myself. I logged into the credit freeze portal again, not to lift it, but to lock it down permanently with a 10-year freeze and a fraud alert. Then I updated my emergency contacts and removed every family member. Finally, I opened the document I'd been drafting all week, support removed, effective immediately. It listed every utility bill I'd been quietly paying for my parents, 2 old credit cards I'd been an authorized user on, both closed, subscription services tied to my accounts, Netflix, Amazon, HBO, and yes, the website hosting for Jenna's influencer portfolio. At the bottom, if you need tech help, bill support, or loan signatures, please contact the version of me you assumed you could use forever. He doesn't live here anymore. I saved it, attached it to one last email to Mom, Dad, and Jenna with the subject line final clarification. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Then I hit send, turned off my phone for a few hours, not to block them, but to reclaim silence. That night, for the first time in years, I fell asleep without checking who needed something from me. No guilt, no background role, just me, centered, present, and free.